Chelsea 3, Liverpool 1. A win against the big team, against the champions. Yes, a weekend hungover side maybe, but nonetheless a very needed win for Chelsea today. Welcome back to FFB, amigos. And today we're going to go over this little match that we just watched. The blue tinted glasses are back after quite a while. The two wins that we had against Fulham and Everton did not warrant the blue glasses. They were barely wins and we struggled. But this keeps us in fifth position. But let's go over it. Prior to the match, Newcastle dropped points against Brighton. Brighton had it. They were so close. I don't know if you guys watched this game, but this Gomez guy that I think is wanted for Newcastle, I think he blew it today. Put a header into him. That's clear goal. All he had to do is literally do one of these, and it was in. But he tries to hit it across goal and misses it horribly. It could have been easily. They could have won that game, and we would have been in such a better position. But again, that's the sad part of having to depend on some other fools, especially Brighton, who has spanked our A all season. I don't want to remember about the cup and taking away so many points from us this season, but okay. In any case, they did us the favor today, and now we are tied for fifth with points and pending new Nottingham Forest playing tomorrow Crystal Palace, who can kind of join this party with us in Newcastle. That's a horrifying. This thing is so tight. It's crazy. We had the harder run of games, and we seem to be, starting with this one, which was really big, doing well. And I hope that United, that's coming, they're still focused on their cup, and they can get drunk when they win that one too and come. We're just going to be our hungover league. The hungover league at the end of the year. Give us the hungover league. Everybody that's already drunk because they partied because their season's over. The ones that are on the beach, that's what we want to play, because the last match we might be playing against Forest to define if we actually get any Champions League football. So let's see. Strong, as soon as they came up, main thing, for you guys that are out there that are not from England, and even some Chelsea fans, I got something to say regarding this subject. The Guard of Honor. Look, that's one of the most beautiful things in football. When I speak, because I watch football in South America, I watch La Liga, we're fans, we watch every. That's one of the most beautiful, honorable things that happens in football. And yeah, it kind of stings, but it's not like they stole the league from us. There was a ghost goal this year, and we have to applaud them coming in through. No, we have no chance. So we want that classy gesture to be done for Chelsea someday if we win again. So it's a beautiful to see. Those of you who don't know, is when the champions come to play the next game, the opposing team will form like a little line and applaud them and welcome them as the new champions, even in your own stadium, which feels a little ugh. But hey, look, it's a beautiful, honorable thing, and I'm happy to see that that's still happening in the Premier League. Our overall lineup, strong. The Liverpool lineup, weak, which that was to be expected. And not only weak, I think, in the sense of who they played, but I think there was a little weakness, given that we saw some hungover people. And we're going to go into those, and I'll tell you who was really off their game. Or on the beach, or mentally, done for the season. But the only things I could have said about our lineup was, you want Reece James experienced into the match with a big game like this, but you would have had to have sacrificed Lavia in midfield, which that's not going to happen, or probably really Chalobah, which, to me, he had probably man of the match performance today. We'll get into it. And you guys know that I don't like the right back, Caicedo at right back ever. He does a job. He does well. He can pull it off. But again, you miss out of what we'll see towards the end of this game, of having this man further up the field. Is probably one of those scariest propositions for these teams, especially that are trying to play out the back. So, yeah, you might want to think about that. In any case, I think the key ones that were missing, Lucho Diaz, but especially McAllister and Slobozai in the middle. Liverpool starting without him. That puts us in a great position. I just want to reiterate how happy I am. This is an amazing result. This is a great result. I don't care what they say. I don't care if they say that they were on the beach, they were hungover, that they didn't line up the full team, that Enzo doesn't belong in the Premier League. All these things that people say, I don't care. We needed to do it against what we had in front of us. We haven't beaten a big team in so long, and we haven't certainly scored 3. I wish we could have gotten away with a clean sheet, but we couldn't. In any case, the best start in the world. The best start in the world. we have an amazing Lavia. Lavia is so important. He's so similar to Caicedo in this that he can, such a strong player. Having those two, I wish we would play a different formation. If we were playing the 4-2-3-1 under Pochettino, probably different, same lineup, different strategy, but with bombing fullbacks and having those two sit in there in front of the back line and recovery. I can't. It's unbelievable the kind of muscle that means in the engine room that brings. So players like Palmer and Caicedo can do, and Palmer and Fernandez can do their stuff up the field. But in any case, Lavia does this amazing recovery. Neto destroys on the wing as he should, as he could, and does the beautiful thing, which is the low cross. Obviously, I don't think it was intended to go to Fernandez. However, it goes to him. Classy, classy finish. We're in. First 20 minutes, Chelsea are dominating. Palmer is allowed to pull the strings. They're not, stepping on him too much. They're giving him a little bit of time. He's dropping deep and he's playing around, and so is Fernandez. They're allowed to play this game a little bit. Jackson starts being a little bit wasteful for He gets a great pass, a long pass. I don't know if you guys saw it from Palmer, and he can't control it properly. He wasn't at his best game today. I would say so. The first 20 minutes, we controlled, we bombed, we did really well. We were very aggressive. Minute 20 to 30, Liverpool start taking a little bit of control, which is normal. The tempo of the game, the rhythm sometimes goes from one to the other. You can't keep this like high energy football the whole time, and that was fine because that opens us for counters, which allows us to eventually gain momentum. One thing that pissed me off, here's another one, is, and on one of these counters, are actually two in the first half only, Jackson's offside, and a very promising chance that we get. So it's really frustrating to see him onside, not being able to to turn his body into the runs correctly in a timely manner, bend his runs, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. But at the end of the first half, I'm kind of annoyed with that. Chelsea are better without the ball and more dangerous in transition. We know that. We suffer a lot against low blocks when they let us play this way. They do, but they let us play, and They didn't have McAllister and Slobosai in the middle, which makes them a little bit weak. And we have Lavia in the field, and we have Caicedo. So our engine is stronger than theirs. We're kind of bullying them in transition, and our guys, we know our guys are super fast, so that kind of works out. I was shocked at the end of the first half, and actually throughout the game, how poor Salah was, and actually Liverpool wasn't playing really well. And I knew McAllister and Slobosai were going to come at any point. At the very beginning, again, that's the other thing we have to remember. When these things happen in football, they really matter. When you get that early goal, that matters. Palmer does a cross. He does a mess to people down there on the side. Puts in a cross, leads into Van Dijk, putting it in his own net. 2-0 very early in the second half. So now you're just psychologically hurt. And it actually takes... Arne Slot. I almost forgot his name. I was like seeing his bald head in my head. Right? Congratulations, that dude, by the way. I'm going to make a special video for Liverpool. You guys deserve it. And to talk not only about this season, but having to hold up, because people say, oh, it's natural that City had their downs year. Man, Liverpool hung with them this whole time and now changed coach, and they're still up there, and they managed to be champions this year. Holy shit, totally, man. Congratulations. And we'll make a video. In minute 67, what happens? I think it was a little bit too long, if you ask me. McAllister and Slobosai come in, and looks like they go in. Nunez comes in, and he misses one, just like the one that they missed over at Brighton. That guy misses so many goals. I don't know how Liverpool's deal with that guy. He's like a wild man, right? Like he's super fast, and he scares defenses, and he's running around, and he's very physical, and then he just misses sitters. Anyway, that's to our benefit. Lavia, who had an amazing game, gets swapped out, which is good. He had a little bit of an injury. In the 79th minute, Sancho has a great shot. Alisson has a save. That was one of the hungover ones. Alisson was a little bit hungover, if you ask me. I kind of sensed it in his face a little bit. We know that Salah doesn't drink. Maybe he had just a little bit too much food or something, because he was really off his pace. Although in the second half he had a little bit of a spurt, a little bit of moment where and I think it was because Bradley came in on the right and he started overlapping. That kid's horrifying, and he has speed, so that allowed the danger to be spread a little bit, and Cucurella had a little bit more to worry about than just him. In any case, we start seeing that Palmer hits the post after an amazing shot, and I think that could have been nearly goal of the season. It reminded me of a very old goal by Romário, where he's on the line. Like, there's no angle. And he takes on a couple of players, breaks into the box. He does the eyes to the keeper, to Allison. It's so beautiful, man. He does the eyes, so obviously he thinks he's going to play it back across, but he plays it and he tries to tap it in without barely any angle. And obviously, because the angle is so tight, it hits off the post. That could have been an amazing one of the goals of the season, I believe, because the complexity is really hard on that. So he's sort of back, but he's missing the thing, right? And we're seeing Mole Palmer, his cousin Mole Palmer, which I've showed you that before. And he didn't show up today. Today was Cole. It was Cole, but I think his confidence is still a little bit lacking. And man, going this long without a goal was really, really hard on him. And after that, we start to poop our pants, right? Van Dijk makes up for it with a header. I want to say something here. Two things. The man put on Van Dijk was Noni Madueke. Not on this one, but I would say on every corner, which is weird, but fine. So you would assume, of course, Noni Madueke is not expected to beat Van Dijk in the air on every ball. The question is he put there to block his run into the first post, to just make and let him go? Because that's what he did. So that's kind of my complaint here. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe it would be insane, but maybe that's what the coaches are telling him. You're just there to slow him down, getting his run off and block him. Because once he enters into the zone, the people that are man marking or in zone that are lined up in the last line will take on any headers that come. They'll beat him on that. You just have to make it hard for him to do that first initial run, which would be batshit. You would assume that he's on him, and he has to be on him all the way and run with him all the way until he makes his jump. And you know they're going to go for him. I counted 3, but in the 3 corners, Madueke just like stands with them like before the corner's taken and doing his thing and like put his hand on him, and then just like looks elsewhere. And every single time, Van Dijk just ran away from him, and we saw it in this goal. So that was a little concerning. I think that's either really, really, really poor coaching idea, which is less likely, and more likely just lack of concentration from Madueke, who's more concerned about Chelsea winning that first header and doing the counter and running out with speed. So he wants those 5 meters maybe off of him. But that comes at the risk of allowing one of the best headers of the ball. And he already warned in one before where he didn't run in to the crowded area of the post. He just ran past the penalty spot and before the last line in space and headed it across and couldn't score. But we already warned, so I'm a little shocked on that one. But Madueke did have a good game. He was insistent. He was running. He did his Madueke things, man. We know what's gonna happen. He's still working on his craft. Okay, I'm gonna be super generous with him today, and he doesn't make the last call always the best. But hell is he insistent, and he's taking on players all the time, and we need that. In any case, we're now 2-1, and I'm really scared because we know that, especially with Szoboszlai back on the field, the momentum back in Liverpool, and the team that they are, they can score at any point. They can score 2 on us. They can lose this game. But 87th minute, Caicedo brilliance. He wins the ball, and he runs the full pitch, and he sets up Neto for a shot. And Pedro, you don't get a song this time because you need to score for that. He doesn't get the goal, but Caicedo proves again how his intensity and quick recovery and willingness to play forward happens. Then we get Reece James to come back on the field. And then in stoppage time, what I'm just mentioning, having this monster animal beast man of Caicedo further up the field is terrifying because of his intensity. We're talking the 93rd minute. And he runs past the 2 lines. He's sort of ahead of where he's normally. I think to press as far up on the field to not let him out and make sure they see the game out. And he does a press that nobody sees coming. He gets to the ball there first, wins a pen. And, of course, we're all nervous. But Palmer's going to take it. And to end the curse, man. And that's, I hope, when Mole Palmer turned into Cole back into Cold Palmer. Cold as ice. And even though Allison guesses the right spot, it's too much power on the ball. The way it's supposed to be taken. Nice and hard, down the bottom. Game over. Chelsea win. 3 points. Back in Champions League slots. We still are dependent on other results. But overall excited. Let me know what you guys think about this performance. Is it what we need to carry us throughout the end of the season? Does this mean that we're now at a level that will guarantee to have Champions League? Remember, it's the 5 slots because of the coefficient this year. So normally we say top 4, and we should remain saying top 4 because it's really like the top 4 are the official, Champions League slots. But are we going to get Champions League with these last few games remaining? Are we going to get the results we need? And we're going to depend on the others dropping the ball a little bit, either Nottingham Forest now at Palace, or we have to just win that game at the end. And we're even in a goal difference thing. That could even come into play, man. That could even come into play towards the end of the season. So tell me what your thoughts are. Please like, subscribe. And to you Chelsea fans and Chelsea players, I love you so much. Thank you for this result. We really needed it. Thank you for allowing us to beat a big team again, no matter what the circumstances. It really is good for our morale. And as always, come on, you Blues.